Hey everyone, Rob here. Welcome to Buster Creek Outdoors. This is part 2 of the beaver mitts. We got our beaver pulled off the board after blocking. We got our patterns ready, our tools. Let's get at her. Okay, so the beaver's all ready. Now I like to take the beaver and make sure he's all squared up. Now you can take your beaver and start rolling him over, and you're gonna see that there's a line for the very center of the beaver. I like to mark it. I just feel for the tip of my finger. And you can see by the fur, it kind of wants to come to a point right in the middle. I just hold my finger there and find my finger right here on the other side. And you can kind of come here too from the top. So now I have a line right down the center. Because this might not have came out completely square in the blocking process, so you make your center line. And then same goes with your sides. The side of the beaver, you got your belly fur, and then right here you start into your long guard hair on both sides. So I'm going to mark there, and on this side. Then same thing goes up here. You can see the outline between the long hair and the short hair. And up towards the head, it does kind of get a bit more rounder, okay? Essentially what we did is we made a line down the center, and then we mapped out the belly fur to the back guard hair. And that's what we want to, for each piece, to center everything. Now is a good time to have another good look at your hide and see if there's any blemishes. And I can see one here right now. And that's right here. It's not much of one, but it could be a mark from where the trap hit it, or just a little spot where just a little rub of the long guard hair. It's not really too noticeable, but I know it's there. So I'll make a mark. And it is small, size of a quarter. But I'll go like this, just so I know that that was that spot there. Now laying your pattern out, you'd start here if it was allowed you to, if it was all good fur. Which that might work pretty good right there. And then you flip it over for this side. I like to kind of turn it at a bit of an angle. Let's go back to the back of the head here. A rough guideline of not to go any higher than that. You know, so you can put this guy like this, trace it out. It's always important to have lineup marks. On the pattern. On this pattern here, I don't have another pattern, so I just flip it over and finish it off. But here's your lineup marks. And you need them. So this guy was like this. Put him up here. He's at this much, a little bit of an angle. This guy will be at this much. So So, there's all our lineup marks. Now when it comes to the thumb, you need to position your fur so that when you sew your mitt, that this seam that's right here on this one here, you'll see on this side or this side, and the long guard hair comes, and that's where your thumb is, and you want the long guard hair on the start of your sew for your thumb like this. And then it all blends together right here nicely. Instead of having long guard hair and then short belly fur. So then you would use your thumb for your spot. So you go from the center. So then you'd have the long guard hair and then out towards the belly fur. But we'll get to that piece here in a minute. So now we need to go from here now this piece here, And then do the same for the next one. Now with what you got left, you'll have to figure out where you want to do for your thumbs. So we have room left here on the side right here for a thumb and here for a thumb, which would work just fine. And I got it marked out here for the long fur for where you start your sew on your thumb, so it joins up with this side, kind of like this, I guess. We want to look at your fur though. Make sure you're using enough of the long fur in your thumb, and how high you can go up in here, up towards the armpit. On this one, I probably wouldn't go any past there. So, one thumb like this. We can turn him at a bit of an angle and get him right close as we can. Another line up mark there. And there. Then I'll just put a then I know. Then we'll move over to this side. Line it up here. There's your pattern all lined out on your beaver pelt. You'll have lots of other leftover pieces in the end, and you could, well, these little squares and stuff, they'll make good pieces for whatever. I was going to take all of my leftover and I was going to make little squares and then start sewing them all together and make a blanket out of it. Or the options are endless on stuff like that. Just takes time on the sewing. And then for cutting, I'm using a razor knife again. You never want to use a pair of scissors because you'll end up cutting the fur. And you don't want to cut the fur, you just want to cut the leather. I guess I could start here. And if it's not cutting the greatest, change your blade out. So there's these pieces, and that there will be on this mitt here. So this piece would be for your top, and then you got your thumb, of course, and then on your bottom of your wrist, this would be this piece. So you got the idea on cutting and the importance to use a razor knife and not a pair of scissors on the fur. So then that leaves us to the next step, which will be our leather palms. I'm going to use a nice piece of chocolate mousse. And this here is pretty important to look for little holes, any imperfections. And this is a split leather, so it's suede both sides. But you look for any old knife marks that are in the leather, anything that'll show up in your finished product. Here's a knife mark here. So I think I'll probably turn this way. I like to kind of, because this piece of leather here, it's almost is a little bit thicker here than down here. So it'd be nicer to have it going the same direction. I like to flatten it out nice. There is that blemish. I'm just going to make a mark on it so I don't get it mistaken. Now, I'm going to go with our pattern. So there's a little bit thicker up here, so we'll keep the front of the mitt both ways like this and like this. Well, if you kind of lay it down, and you can push down on it a bit. I don't use a pencil or a marker or anything on here. This is just an old knitting needle. I just keep going over it. Open your thumb up. And I'll try and go make my lineup marks on this leather too. So I'm only going to here on the pattern. I'm not doing down here because we have this piece of fur that will go there in its place of that leather. But if you're only just using the tops, the top of the whole, just the top of the beaver and the thumb of the fur, you could go with the whole bottom leather. I just think it looks better to use as much leather as you can. So there's this pattern on there. Same thing here. Now on some of this, I might just make right on my, right where I'm going to make my cut. Just a smallest little dot. That's pretty important right here in the thumb to make a bit of a mark here too. Then you get a nice good sharp pair of scissors. And you're down to your thumb. And there's that little mark I just made, so I know just to only cut to there. You can use a pencil to trace this out too. But there's my thumb, or my palm, cut out. I will turn you on here in a minute when I... Well, there's all the pieces all cut out. Left hand, right hand. The thumbs. So seeing how this here, this is all your long fur from the center. And I would use it like this on the right hand. This instead's gonna go for the left hand. Just because it gets such light colored. And on my thumbs, it's all light colored fur. There's my long fur mark. So it'll get sewn in here. So these two here like this blend pretty nice. Versus if I was to use it on this side, these two just don't blend together very nice. Which is okay, I can use it on the other side. So this will be the left hand. And then same with this. These two pieces, they're on the bottom, so they don't really matter too much. They go here. So there you have it. Whole pattern's all cut out. Ready for our next step. So stay tuned for sewing our mitts up on the Bow&S Never Stop Fur Machine. Thanks for watching.